Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Debating Metal. I'm your host, Kenneth Dean, the Dean of Metal, and my co-host is Chris Kaye. Today, we're hitting the Seattle scene and taking a look at the career of one of the most unique bands to come out of Seattle as we give you Alice in Chains' greatest hits.
While their history is marred with fits and starts and tragedies and triumphs, the band were able to release 3 full-length albums, 3 EPs, 3 live albums, and an iconic MTV Unplugged during their first stint, and have since made a comeback and released 3 more albums. Today, Kenneth and I will choose 15 songs each from their diverse career. Any songs duplicated automatically make the list. Whichever songs were not, we'll debate to see which ones make the final cut. Then we'll arrange them in concert setlist order for the ultimate Alice in Chains greatest hits.
So I met Alice in Chains on July 14th, 1991. They did an in-store signing at the record store I was working at, and they were playing the Clash of Titans show that night. And so I had tickets for the show, but I actually went to their manager who was, standing in the back with me, and I said, hey, is there any way I could meet the band tonight, get backstage passes? And he goes, you want to meet him again? And I'm like, sure, why not? I don't care. Just get to hang out. He goes, okay, I'll get you some. So he ended up getting us what I presume we were originally just supposed to be backstage for them. I thought it was like a one-time, like a meet and greet thing. But it ended up being that we had like all access passes. Like we went everywhere we want, anywhere and everywhere we wanted to go. Me and a buddy of mine that was with me, and it was wild. Like we walked backstage anywhere we wanted to go behind the entire Miami arena. We were just walking. We met. That's the night I met Dave Mustaine. That's the night that I met Kerry King. We had we were in the meet and greet with Alice in Chains, and Anthrax was in there talking with them. Slayer was about to go on stage, and the lights went out. And someone said, oh, yeah, of course, Slayer's about to go on stage. So, all the power is going crazy. Lights come back, and Mike Starr comes up to me and says, hey, can you take a picture of me with Frank Bello or Frankie? Yeah, sure. So he hands me whatever camera he had, and I take a picture of Mike and Frankie. So that was my interaction that night with them, and it was pretty cool. So, and they had signed some stuff for all of us at the store. And I ended up coming home with a couple of posters from the Facelift album that's signed by all 4 band members. And it's pretty cool because, now that 2 of them are no longer with us, it's a pretty cool souvenir. So
I would say so. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I was thinking about it on the way home from work today that I want to frame that and hang it up. And it's not something that should go too bad, but I do need to put some like UV tinted windows in my UV protecting tinted windows in my office, because I have 2 large windows that get direct sunlight in the morning, and it goes from floor to ceiling, as the sun rises. So
at least get the UV coating on the frames that you have.
Yeah, or actually goes from ceiling to floor as the sun rises. the light.
Gotcha.
But yes, Alice in Chains, they've always been pretty cool. I pretty much liked them from the beginning of their career. I still kind of like them, but I'm not into them as much, only because I haven't gotten into the whole, William Duvall, right?
Duvall, yeah.
I haven't gotten into his records. I listened to him, these past week or so. The stuff is good. It's very consistent Alice in Chains style music. But I would sit there and say that it's still not up to the level of the stuff that they played early on. And, some of that is more mature kind of writing, if you want to look at it that way. And it's also the fact that, Lane is a different kind of person, songwriter and lyricist, as well as someone who brought different melodies to the table. Jerry writes or wrote most of the music and probably a lot of the lyrics as well. But, Lane had his style about things. It's very different. So, but
it's a different dynamic now. I mean, it's always been Jerry's band, but at the same time, Lane had such a presence and such talent behind him. And there's no fault to William Duvall whatsoever. He's excellent. But even in this new incarnation, he isn't highlighted as much either. Jerry is really, I would say, the lead singer of the band. Now, that's different in a live show where William Duvall has more of the, ability to sing a lot of the stuff that Lane did. But as far as new albums coming out, he's not highlighted as much. And so it is a different dynamic. And when you have somebody that's kind of as iconic as Lane was, it is difficult to get into them in the same way. But that being said, I've enjoyed all three albums so far.
Yeah, they're not bad at all. I mean, like I said, it's just, for me, it's not the same. So it's kind of different. I have to kind of wrap my head around the fact that the band is different. It's not the same band that recorded Dirt, and it's not the same band that recorded the SAP EP, and it's not the same band that recorded Facelift, because there's two people that are no longer there. But the band that recorded one song off of Dirt, Jar of Flies, and then the self-titled album, that band, Mike Inez on bass, Lane and Jerry and Sean Kinney, that's the band that I like. That's the band that I got used to and stuff like that. And it's just a different band that plays now. I mean, It's the same core three guys, different singer. It's just, I don't know, it's a different kind of vibe that I get. But maybe if I saw them in concert and saw how everything jived together, it would probably change things. But not that I dislike them, it's just I'm not as into them as I used to be. But that's neither here nor there. I still like the music, which is cool. That's why we're here celebrating it tonight with their 15 greatest hits that we're going to put together. So, with that said, as a reminder to everyone how we do this, we're going to each pick 15 songs from Alice in Chains, songs that are duplicated. We hold a list. We mentioned that in the intro. And then we're going to debate through different rounds, picking the remaining songs. And the way we do that is the first round, we'll pick a song from each of our lists that we want to keep. Then we'll pick a song from each of our lists that we want to get, that we want to drop. Then we're going to go to the other person's list and pick a song that we want to keep. And then next round, the other person's list, we're going to take a song we drop and go forward from there until we finish filling our list. And then we make our ultimate greatest hits and then put them in concert set list order. And there's a whole nother debate there. So, do you want to start or I want to start?
I believe I started the last greatest hits we did. So I think it is your turn to go.
All right, then. I will accept that. Okay, so real quick, my 15 Alice in Chains greatest hits are, and this is in chronological order only just because it's easier that way. Number 1, We Die Young. Number 2, Man in the Box. Number 3, Sea of Sorrow. Number 4, It Ain't Like That. Number 5, Them Bones. Number 6, Damn That River. Number 7, Down in a Hole. Number 8, Wood. Number 9, No Excuses. Number 10, Got Me Wrong. That's where it's a little out of chronological order. Number 11, Grind. Number 12, Heaven Beside You. Number 13, Again. Number 14, Get Born Again. And number 15, Check My Brain, which is the only song that I chose out of the new era of Alice in Chains.
Well, we have a fair amount of crossover. We did not cross over on 5 songs, so we
Oh, wow. Okay.
definitely had some crossover this time. All right, so I'm going to go in the same order chronologically. My number 1, We Die Young. Number 2, Man in the Box. Number 3, Sunshine. Then number 4, Them Bones. Number 5, Damn That River. Number 6, Down in a Hole. 7, Sick Man. Number 8, Angry Chair. And number 9, Wood. Number 10, Nutshell. Number 11, No Excuses. Number 12, Heaven Beside You. 13, Again. 14, Get Born Again. And number 15, Check My Brain.
Oh, okay. So you only picked one song off of the new era.
Check My Brain is a really good song. So it's hard to deny it. But I mean, some of the stuff from Dirt that I didn't pick, I easily could have put on there. I mean, I probably could have put close to the whole album if I really wanted to, but there's so many good songs throughout their early career. And I went with what I truly felt belonged on here. So correction, only 4, because I missed that No Excuses was not one of the, or with that we did crossover. So there's only 4 songs that we did not.
Wow, that's it's not. I think that's a first. I think the least non-crossover we had at any point was like 6. I think
It was 6, yeah.
And so far, it's going to make it easy. It's going to make it quick to fill 4 spots. I'll tell you that much. But at the same time, there's not a lot of songs to choose from. I mean, at 4 spots, there's only 8 songs I think we have to pick from. So that's interesting. But you know what? It goes to show you in this particular case for Alice in Chains, I think it goes to show you, one, we chose a lot of songs from they only had 6 LPs, 3 full-length LPs with the original band or the with Lane on vocals, because I say original band, but Mike Starr and Mike Inez played bass on as I'm stumbling across these 3 albums. Basically, the first 2 albums were with the original band, and then the self-titled album, Alice in Chains, was with Mike Inez. And Mike Inez also played on the EP Jar of Flies. So there was basically 2 albums and 1 EP with Mike Starr on it, and then 1 album and 1 EP with Mike Inez. Actually, 2 EPs, because they count the promotional We Die Young, which came out before Facelift.
Yeah, that was an EP as well.
It was an EP, but it wasn't released to the general public. It was actually released to radio stations. And that's how the song We Die Young became a hit. But it eventually made its way around. And then actually just a couple of summers ago, We Die Young, I don't know if it was
re-released.
It was re-released on Record Store Day, but I don't know if it was Record Store Day or Black Friday Record Store Day. I can't remember. But it was one of those Record Store Days in the last year or so.
Yeah.
There have been so many. With because of the pandemic, they had 3 in 1 year because they were trying to break up the releases, which that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But I think it had to do with the pressing of the vinyl more than the actual day itself.
I believe that's correct, because they were limited to how they could work, and it slowed down production, etc. So that would make sense, yeah.
Okay, so we have 4 spots. 4 spots for 8 songs. So let's go for it here. So I went first on the thing, so I get to go first on picking a song that I want to keep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're basically just going to pick one that we want to keep and one that we want to drop off, and that's going to be it this time.
Pretty much. Yeah, this is going to be tough.
I know which one I'm picking from the very beginning, so...
Well, no, we have 4 spots, so... Well, I get to go first on this one, so my song that I want to keep is It Ain't Like That.
Really? Okay.
That is... I really, really, really like that song. And based on the songs that I have, I'd rather hear that than the other 3.
Okay.
That song to me is so unique as to how Jerry plays guitar on that, because he hits the strings that are after the bridge on the guitar, or above the nut at the top of the neck. So either one, I don't know if one of those two, but I guess it's easier to hit the ones below the bridge that are closest to the bottom of the tuning, where you tune your guitar, not the tuning pegs, but the one at the bottom where the strings come up at, to get that really unique high-pitched chordish sound that he plays. And then he goes into a deep chord. That is one of the coolest things I've ever heard. And just to kind of, I wish I could see him play it live. I probably saw it, but I'd never really paid attention to it back then.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is this is like no problem for me to pick. It's my favorite Alice in Chains song.
Hint, hint.
It's Nutshell. So,
really?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite songs. Period. Not just Alice in Chains song, but one of my favorite songs of any song. So
wow, that's mighty big words.
Yes,
for that song.
So you can probably tell where this is going later, as you said hint hint. Yeah,
exactly. All right, so you picked Nutshell. All right, so that now leaves us with picking a song that we would want to drop off of our list. I'm going to go ahead, just because we have a bunch already. I'm going to go ahead and drop. Hold on a second. Because what happens now is we have to. This has to be strategic, because the next song is we get to pick. Is the last song we're picking from each other's list, so I get to pick a song from your list to keep, and that basically ends. When you pick mine, that ends the discussion. So we have to be strategic in what we drop. That changes the game for me. In reality, it doesn't. I'm still going to pick the same song. I'm going to go ahead and drop Sea of Sorrow.
Okay. I like that song. I've always liked it, but it's not up there high enough for me to put it on my list, obviously. So I respect that. And I actually like one song on your list quite a bit more, so we shall see what happens.
All right, so what are you dropping?
I'm going to drop Sick Man. That was the last one that made it onto my list, and therefore that would be my first one to drop. So,
really
great song, but I like the others more.
All right, so you have two songs, Sunshine and Angry Chair, and those are the songs that I get to choose from to pick to keep. And to me, there's no doubt in my mind which song I'm going to go ahead and pick. I'm going to pick Angry Chair as the song to keep.
I think that's the better choice as well. So one thing I really think is cool about Angry Chair is that is Lane Staley's first song that he contributed to Alice in Chains as the entire, like, the writer of the song. And Jerry Cantrell really praised him on that, and, you know, was so happy that he kind of stepped up more into that role, knowing he fully had the talent. And unfortunately, you know, things went down from there because of his drug addiction, etc. But still very cool, you know, contribution to the band and in its history. So,
yeah, I like the song. It's very unique, you know, and it's very, to me, as much as Jerry is the songwriter, and the whole dissonant sound that they have is derived from Jerry. To me, it all centers around Lane Staley and his ability to be able to sing those songs that way.
Yes,
that really drives that sound. While William can do it, that's just not their focus. And so William and Jerry's voices sound good together. It doesn't have the same application, and they don't do it as dissonant and discordant as Lane and Jerry used to do it.
Yes.
And I guess that's part of the difference of why I haven't been able to really get into them. But again, nothing wrong with the songs that they have now. Anyway.
I understand where you're coming from with that. Completely. There's just not the same kind of chemistry, and the original band got together when they were very young, you know, very hungry, and it's a different thing now. And they've been through a lot of tragedy too, right? They
Right.
they had to deal with the death of Lane. They had to deal with the death of Mike later. Things that they, even if they had issues, they never wanted to happen, right? So it's a different band. You listen to Jerry talk now versus when he was a kid playing with the first incarnation of the band. He is a changed man. So, and who wouldn't be?
Definitely so.
So, all right.
All right, so you got to pick Got Me Wrong or Grind. What do you got?
I mean, both are really good songs. But I'm probably gonna have to go with Got Me Wrong. Those both EPs being acoustic, have some really good flavor to them. Something different that adds to the overall product here. I just never really got into Grind as a song, but it's not a bad opener. I just like, Heaven Beside You, and again, way more. That's why I picked those on my list. But Sap was one that I had to cut from my 20. So, yeah, let's go with that one.
All right, that's good. I thought you were going to go the other way around on that one, personally. Not that there's anything wrong with either one of the two songs, like you said. There's something about Got Me Wrong that I like. There's a lot about Grind I like. Grind is such a different song. It's definitely one of those unique Alice in Chains songs.
Yeah.
Got Me Wrong is better on the Unplugged than it is on Sap.
100%,
in my opinion.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and they play it with a little bit different enthusiasm on Unplugged, and I think that's what is really good about it on the Unplugged version.
If you haven't seen Unplugged, it is incredible. It really is. What a show!
Unplugged is the Unplugged Alice in Chains. Let's not push the whole series, because although I do like the whole series.
Obviously I'm not talking about the whole series, but yeah.
Right. But the Alice in Chains Unplugged is by far one of the best Unplugs up there. It's up there with the Nirvana one. It's up there with who else had a really big, the Eric Clapton one was huge. Although I'm not a big fan of Eric Clapton's. I mean, I respect him. I like some of his songs, but I'm not a huge fan. That episode of Alice in Chains Unplugged was just amazing, emotional. At the same time, the music was played so well that night. It's just crazy how good it was. Okay, the 15 songs that made our final list are as follows. Number 1, We Die Young. Number 2, Man in the Box. And number 3, It Ain't Like That, all off the Facelift album. Number 4, Got Me Wrong from the Sap EP. And then number 5, Them Bones. Number 6, Damn That River. Number 7, Down in a Hole. Number 8, Angry Chair. And number 9, Wood, all off of the Dirt album. Number 10, Nutshell. And number 11, No Excuses, both from Jar of Flies EP. Number 12, Heaven Beside You. Number 13, Again. Both of those songs come off the self-titled album Alice in Chains. And number 14, Get Born Again, which is off the Nothing Safe Best of the Box, as well as the Music Bank box set. And then Check My Brain off of Black Gives Way to Blue, which is with William Duvall on vocals. And something else about that album, in the last 3 albums, they're so... what was I going to say about not Check My Brain so much as, what was it, Looking in View? When I first heard Looking in View, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Looking in View is the first song they released when that album came out. That is such an odd song, but there's something hypnotizing about it that I thought it was pretty cool. But it was one of those songs, like, I played it for my wife one day and she's like, that's disturbing. And there's something about it that's different, because obviously it's dissonant. It's not normal, but at the same time, it's so unique, and I think it's a really good song, but it's so out there. But I didn't pick it because I thought Check My Brain was one badass song. So, all right, well, that's our 15 songs. So now we have to put them in concert set list order. Let's rock this.
Let's go.
All right. So for those of you who are listening for the first time on the Greatest Hits episode, now that we're up to the concert set list order part, we're going to pick the first 12 songs of a concert and put them in particular order like you would want to hear it when you go to a concert. And the last 3 songs, the songs number 13, 14, and 15, would be what you would experience as an encore. So, we're going to have an opener, we're going to have a set closer, which is the main set. And then you also have the encore opener, the encore middle, and the encore closer. So that's what we're going to pick now. And, okay, so I get to go first on this one?
That's fine.
Let's see. There's 2 songs here that I would consider openers, and both of them opened their albums. But I think I'm going to go with the original, the first song, We Die Young.
I'm good with that. I was kind of thinking the same thing. So, I mean, obviously, Them Bones would be another good choice, but I honestly think that We Die Young is a little better for the opening of a concert. So, all right. So number 2. Let's see. I want to keep the pace going, but we don't want to use up all of our, fast songs. You know what? I'm going to go out on the limb with this one. I'm going to do Check My Brain as number 2.
Okay. I can see that. I don't have a problem with that one. All right. So Check My Brain is number 2. All right. So the question I wanted to ask you about this, we have 3 songs here that were performed originally acoustically. Mm-hmm. Do we want to do this in a way in the middle of the set, somewhere around songs 6, 7, and 8, or 5, 6, 7, where we put those 3 songs together as an acoustic set?
Probably. I would think.
Okay.
I would think that's kind of how they handle it in the live shows.
Right.
So it's probably a good way to handle it.
Okay. So that being said, how about we go into Damn That River?
Yeah. I'm good with that. Let's see. Let me think about this. Then let's go with It Ain't Like That.
Okay. I can see that. All right. So do you want to do the acoustic set here at 5, 6, 7?
You want to do it that early?
We'll do it.
Let's do 6, 7, 8.
You want to do 6, 7, 8?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So It Ain't Like That. I'm trying to think how the song ends and what I want to get into from that point. How about Get Born Again?
That's honestly exactly what I was thinking. All right. So we're going to do our acoustic set here. And I think you got to start with Got Me Wrong with that grouping.
Let's see here.
I'm honestly open to starting it with one or the other of 2 of the songs, but it has to end with a specific one.
All right. So in your eyes, it needs to end with Nutshell?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because Nutshell, when they do it live, is a tribute to Lane and Mike. So, in that regard, I feel like it has to be the closer of that little section. So if you want to go with No Excuses instead of Got Me Wrong, I'm fine with that.
No, Got Me Wrong. With No Excuses following it up, that's perfect.
Okay. So we got Got Me Wrong, No Excuses, and then Nutshell.
Right.
Well, that leaves it to you to pick number 9.
I think we may need to push something.
Okay.
Because we forgot Heaven Beside You is predominantly acoustic. So what do you think about putting Heaven Beside You after No Excuses and then Nutshell, pushing it down?
Okay.
And having those 4 songs as acoustic.
I'm good with that. I think that works.
Okay.
So we got Me Wrong, No Excuses, Heaven Beside You, and then Nutshell.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because Heaven Beside, that's an acoustic song, straight up.
Yeah, it is.
Or even whatever electric they have in it, it's still going to come across better as acoustic.
Yes.
Okay. And I like the fact that No Excuses goes ahead of it, because kind of No Excuses upbeats it, and then Heaven Beside You was a pretty big hit when it came out, and then you go into Nutshell as the dedication. I like that. I like that flow for those 4 songs. All right, so
I think that works.
So now it's up to you with number 10.
Okay. So coming off of that, I think we go Man in the Box, because that jumps right into kind of picking up the pace again. I don't think there's a better song to do that with, and there's other songs that I'd rather see in the encore.
Okay. Let's see here. We have 3 songs left before the end of the set. We're in 10, 11, and 12. 12 being the end of the main set.
Yes, we only have 2 left.
Right, 2 after this. If I don't veto Man in a Box. Okay. Man in a Box is fine. So then number 11. How about Angry Chair?
Okay. So do we want to end it off with Again?
That's what I was thinking based on the songs that are left.
Yeah. So that leaves Them Bones, Down in a Hole, and Wood. And
Right.
We just have to determine the order.
Right, and I kind of have an idea of that order already.
Okay. So what's the opener of the closer?
I say the opener of the closer is Them Bones.
That makes sense. That's a perfect way to start it. And I think you got to go with Down in a Hole next, because you can't leave it on a
Absolutely.
sad note. So
Absolutely.
And that leaves the final song to be Wood.
And it's just so appropriate.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it too. I like it a lot.
I was feeling a little bit of anxiety about the order that we were going in as we went, but I'm actually pretty happy with the way it ended.
Yeah. That, they've got such a way about them and the songs and the way they write them. It's you have to figure out the right flow. And I think we figured out a pretty good flow on this, because it's definitely a unique list, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots of people out there that look at this list and say, what the hell were you thinking? But at the same time, I think there's going to be a bunch of people that agree, go, you know what, that does kind of work that way, flow to flow,
Yes.
So I think this one works pretty good. All right, so go ahead and read it off.
All right. Our concert starts with We Die Young, followed by Check My Brain, then Damn That River, It Ain't Like That. Track 5 is Get Born Again, Got Me Wrong, No Excuses, Heaven Beside You, Nutshell, Man in the Box, An Angry Chair, and we end our main set with Again. Then our encore starts with Them Bones, Down in a Hole, and we end things off with Wood.
I like that. I think
it's a great list.
There's a couple of songs that I really, it's kind of weird that I kind of wish were on here, but we ended up, one we got rid of, and another one didn't make the list at all. What are your thoughts on that song, Sludge Factory?
I mean, I like the song. I like all the songs, even the ones we kicked off. But
Yeah.
when we do this, you got to pick which ones you like. And we stick to the 15 format because, one, it fits on a disc. And two, you can't exhaust the band, by playing 30, 40 songs. So.
Right, exactly. Well, it's funny because Sludge Factory, it really came to my forefront with the songs when I heard it on Unplugged. Mm-hmm. I liked the way it was played on Unplugged because just the strumming was kind of like very, you hear it very clearly, them hitting the strings with their picks. And if there was something about it that was really unique sounding to me. And when I listened to it on the CD, I'm like, man, this is a pretty heavy song in terms of chord structure. And it's just really written on a low chord and all that in a low key. And but then there's just certain things about it, like, about was it say something about, you insult me in my home, and something about being milk carton size. It's just some of the things that he says on that is so cool that I like that song. But it was one of those songs I kind of had to get rid of, and it didn't make my original 15.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when I really think about it, even if I pick more songs off of one album than another, I just have to be honest about what I really like. And as many songs as that didn't make the list that I do like, again, these were the 15 that I felt more strongly about the others.
Yeah,
and
like Bleed the Freak didn't even make our list,
right? And I had that on my list of 20, but I don't know. It was one that I just went to and said, I got to drop this one, unfortunately.
I mean, there's going to be someone out there saying, how could you not put the Rooster on there?
I know. but Rooster has never been one of my favorite songs by them. I like it. I like the subject matter. It is a great song. But for me, it never clicked as like one of my top songs from the band. So,
right, and and again, like we left off Grind. You had your say about it, didn't necessarily like it, but I liked the song, but I left off Sludge Factory because it was Sludge Factory or Grind, and I ended up choosing Grind. But I think Brother, that was off of the Sap EP, is also a good song. Mm-hmm. I Stay Awake. So there was a lot of good songs we ended up having to drop. But
I mean, you didn't have Nutshell on your list, and I'm kind of surprised by that. A lot of people cite Nutshell as a favorite song. So
see, and it's funny because the first song on the album, which is the first song is Rotten Apple.
Rotten Apple. There we go. I kept thinking Apple Tree. I'm like, no, it's not Apple.
The first song on Jar of Flies, Rotten Apple, I love that bass intro. Oh my God, it's super cool. I don't even know if it's a bass intro, or if it's just played on a really tuned down guitar. But that whole
no, it's on a bass. I mean, he played bass on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did. It's just that one is. I guess it's a higher. He's playing probably on a higher string. It's just such a cool way to intro that EP, But I like I Stay Away, No Excuses, Rotten Apple. I mean, fuck, I like the whole damn EP, really.
Yeah.
And then when I got it, I think you and I were talking about it earlier today. I have the one on the CD that comes with the fake flies in the spine. It's super cool, and a lot of people got freaked out at first. Like, oh my God, it has flies in it. No, they're fake. They're plastic. But, I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that really has real flies in there.
They got the one without it, and they added flies to it.
Right, they put real flies in there. All right, well, we're talking about all these extra songs that we didn't put on here. So we do have one more opportunity to announce the songs that we like by putting our big 4 Alice in Chains songs out there for you. And so since I went first on everything today, why don't you go ahead and go first on the big 4 Alice in Chains songs?
All right. My number 4 is Down in a Hole off of Dirt. That's a song that really grew on me as the years went by. I don't think I even really liked it all that much when I first heard it, but I was also pretty young, and the subject matter sometimes didn't resonate with me. But as I've gotten older, It becomes more meaningful, more impactful. And I just think it's a really great song. I love the way that Jerry and Lane's voices worked off of each other in that song, and especially the version that's on MTV Unplugged is just magic. So definitely up there in my top four. My number three is We Die Young. That I think that if I really truly remember back, at least it's the one I remember the most. This was one of the first, if not the first song that I ever heard from Alice in Chains, and it's just awesome. It's a great opener to the album, and it just kind of shows that early kind of metal style that they had right at the beginning. That it's awesome. My number two is Them Bones. This just a killer opening to an album. One of the best albums of all time, honestly. Just from beginning to end, killer. I mean, we had the most choices off of Dirt for our greatest hits, and it shows why. I mean, it's just an amazing album, and that's the way to start your iconic album. And then my number one is Nutshell. Like I mentioned earlier, I gave a little spoiler on that one. But this is a song that really, resonates with me and means a lot to me. I think we've all had those dark thoughts and gone through tough times in life, and have those thoughts about how you want to live your life and your control over it, etc. And not to get too serious, but yeah, it's just one of those songs that really just hits me right in the heart. And Lane's vocals on this track are just so good. It's almost like an a cappella song to some degree. Obviously not, because there is guitar work playing behind it, but it is a repetitive riff that's going on behind it, and the focus is clearly on his emotion, his vocals, and just everything that's pouring out of him into this song. And it's hard for me not to just pick it as my number one. Like I said, it's one of my favorite songs, period.
So, Alice in Chains, and I listening to you talk about how much this song means to you. There's a few songs, and you mentioned it with Down in a Hole. They have this way with the lyrics that they write of affecting the listener in a good way for the most part. But it really, really hits deep, a lot of these songs, and it's amazing, to me, how those lyrics get interpreted and how they really, really just go deep inside your heart and in your mind and affect you emotionally that way. Dave did that to me with my favorite songs, so we'll talk about that in a second. So, I love your list. You can't go wrong with any of these songs, because it's just their catalog of good songs are so outstanding, and it's such a diverse list of songs. It's such a diverse discography that they have. It's just amazing. This is an amazing career for this band, and I'm glad that they're still going. So. Number four for me is No Excuses. I really, really enjoy that Jar of Flies EP. And it's weird, Nutshell. I don't, even though the lyrics that affect you deeply, it's a different song that affects me deeply. In Nutshell, I guess I've never really sat down. I've said the words a million times, but it never got that deep into me. So Nutshell doesn't affect me the same way it affects you. But I like No Excuses. I Stay Away a lot. So, but No Excuses is my number four song. Number three for me, I mentioned it earlier, It Ain't Like That is one of my favorite songs. So that's my number three Alice in Chains song. It's just there's just a unique vibe about that song that I really, really dig. Number two, Down in a Hole, the unplugged version, as you mentioned earlier, is such an incredible version. Down in a Hole, for me, is what Nutshell is for you, as far as how deep it touched you and affected you. When Lane passed away in 2002, and when I found out about it, I listened to this version of the song for a week straight. Lane's death was oddly affected me. Like, I just couldn't believe it. And then to hear the circumstances with which he passed away, and that he was literally dead possibly for up to 2 weeks before they found him, is just so sad. And listening to Down in a Hole and listening to the lyrics that Jerry wrote for that song for Lane to sing, it's incredible, because it was so prophetic. It's just nuts, and to hear Jerry really basically saying, you're dying right in front of me. You're one of my best friends, and you're dying right in front of me, and there's nothing I could do to stop you. It's sad. It's fucking sad. And that's just crazy to think about, that's what happened. So that's what affected me for a week. I kid you not. For a week, I was listening to this song straight, as much as I could, driving in my car, back and forth to work, all that stuff. But let's bring the tone back up. My number one song is just the first time I heard it. I'm a bass player myself to some degree, and I really dig the bass line on this. Wood from the Dirt album. It was also on the single soundtrack. That's a really, really cool song, and that's my favorite Alice in Chains song.
That's a good list as well. I like your list. Wood used to be one of my favorite songs by them. But I think over time, others overtook it. And I think that was one of the songs that really helped me get into Alice in Chains. But, like I said, some of the others kind of hit me a little harder. And there's so much there in their catalog that is very diverse, and I think pretty much anybody can find something to like in Alice in Chains' catalog.
No, absolutely. And, there's going to be a lot of listeners that are going to be listening tonight and say, hey, wait a second, that's not metal. And we've talked about this before. Neither was Black Sabbath, neither was Kiss, but they have their moments and they have their elements that create and are part of metal and the core of metal. If you talk to Jerry Cantrell, he will tell you that Alice in Chains at its core is a metal band. Okay. They may not apply themselves the same way, and it might not come out the same way, but bottom line is that they think they're a metal band. They have metal elements. This is a show about hard rock and heavy metal. And so they definitely fit the mold. We're going to do some shows in the future that are going to include, the whole grunge scene in the Seattle scene that happened, and we're going to talk about that in a multi-part episode, hopefully coming real soon. But, for those of you who are griping out there about the fact that it might not be metal, it is. Alter Bridge is metal. I don't care what people say, so there's a lot of different things out there that people will say or not say is metal, and who cares? Let's all enjoy the music, because it is there for us to enjoy. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. I wish I could remember the exact quote, but one of my favorite metal guys out there, Chuck Schuldiner, basically said, it doesn't matter what genre it is. It's all metal, and enjoy what you enjoy. It's less about like trying to compartmentalize everything and more about we all have something we can love and support together. So I've always felt that way about metal. When I go to the shows, I feel more camaraderie there than a lot of places that I go. So, I mean,
especially with the
metal
drunk
is
guy
it
in
for
front
us.
of us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, with all that said, that's our big four Alice in Chains songs, and that concludes tonight's episode of Debating Metal. Remember to click the like or subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and get Debating Metal delivered right to your notification window just about every week.
And don't forget to leave us a comment on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or send us an email to debatingmetal@gmail.com. YouTube viewers, click subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when we post a new episode. So remember to tune in next week as we spark up another exciting metal debate. On behalf of Kenneth and myself, stay safe and always turn it up to 11.
See ya.